What's the point of buying a video game console anymore? We literally have so much history of terrible marketing, terrible decision making within the corporations involved in the video game industry, basically a little over a decade long, by the way, to prove to us that the decision that Sony just made, the statement that they just made, is the dumbest decision they could possibly make right now. This is one of the worst announcements a video game company could be announcing at all this year. Forget the price hikes that Microsoft just talked about, with the Xbox Series S and X being raised over $150 to $200 worth for each model. Forget the fact that, we do have a little bit of scary situations going on with physical game keycard stuff and Nintendo and all that. This announcement takes the cake. This is the worst thing that I think gamers could face going forward with choosing to support pretty much any video game company. I don't blame any PC gamer for looking at this announcement and saying, you know what? Pretty much for the rest of my life, I'm going to be a PC gamer until things completely turn around. It's really sad how we look at a release such as Star Fox that came out and see the fact that it's on a physical game cartridge and throw a party practically for how great of a thing that is to witness. When just, 7 years ago, that was the normal thing for consumers. Now we're at a point where we are completely going digital and there's no turning back. I feel like no matter how loud the video game community gets in backlash to this, hence the internet going in absolute uproar over what Sony just posted today, I feel like no matter what happens, it's just a lost cause. And I hate to say that. I really do. And I'll do whatever I can along with the rest of the video game community to change that. But it just doesn't seem like they care. Not only did Sony announce price raises, but we already saw time and time again, Microsoft announce price raises for their current consoles and what's absolutely going to be an inflation effect on the next console. Project Helix is probably going to be at least $800 to $1,000, and the same thing for the PS6. So that, paired with no physical future for video games, is one of the worst outcomes we as video game consumers could ask for. It's unquestionably one of the worst. So I think the first thing I wanted to just point out about all this that I found very interesting was I actually happened to be watching videos just by pure sheer happenstance about the terrible reveal that Microsoft had back when they revealed the Xbox One and how that basically tainted their legacy up to this very day. And the reason why I'm mentioning Microsoft right now is because I want to show how Sony is basically making the exact same mistakes that Microsoft did over 10 years ago with the reveal of the Xbox One. Do you guys not remember the complete scare that gamers had with the idea that having a console being required to connect to Wi-Fi to function had absolutely everything to do with their purchasing decisions? It had absolutely everything to do with the fact that Microsoft would not allow people to share the video games that they fully bought with their hard-earned money to anyone outside of their family system. Just a family cloud plan. It was so dystopian, and no one blamed anyone for crashing out over how awfully dystopian that looked. Yet Sony is now probably going to adopt the very same business practices going with the reveal and the release of the PS6. It's definitely going to be a ton of money. It's going to be over $800, no questions asked. But with that in mind, what's crazy is that I'm pretty sure they're probably going to pull the very same moves that they made fun of in that ad. They made fun of Microsoft. They literally made fun of Microsoft for gatekeeping a sharing system between family cloud members for the Xbox One. How do you know that that's not going to happen when all physical games are going to vanish for the PS6? How do you know that they're not going to pull a move like that after they literally just stripped tons of PlayStation owners of the movies that they purchased with like fully purchased, not through a subscription service. They fully purchased these movies off of PlayStation's system, yet the movies have vanished. It's literally robbery. And there's no way, no possible way that we are just supposed to shut up and not be scared of that being an outcome for the digital games that we purchase in the future. Physical games and their longevity isn't just about game preservation. It's not. It's about making sure that the consumer is safe from any decisions that the corporation can make against them. It's really that simple. So it's not necessarily the exact announcement of physical games not being a thing anymore that scares people. It's what it entails. And it's exactly a sign that just corroborates with everything else that has been going down, and not even just the past year, but the past month alone. The price hikes, taking away things that you purchased on their very platform. It's just bound to happen. And not only that, but Sony, just so happened to announce at the same time that the PS3 and Vita stores are going to shut down. It's almost like those two things are kind of connected, The enforcement of pure digital purchasing alongside the means of you owning that game is going to be completely stripped away from you. Or even just the means of buying the game is going to be stripped away, hence the gaming preservation argument. But I don't know, I'm kind of just saying a bunch of things right now. I wanted to show you guys the very video that I was watching, again, by sheer happenstance at the same time as this announcement. It was like hours before. It's this video where Angry Joe, shout out to Angry Joe, I love his channel, is talking to Major Nelson back in the announcement of the Xbox One. And there is literally a point where both Major Nelson and Angry Joe were agreeing that the future of video games is pretty much going to be all digital on some date, just some years down the line from 2013, back when the Xbox One was announced. So here you go. Look at this clip.
I mean, you have to admit, Joe, that the world is moving digital and online. Do you agree with me there? Can we?
I do agree with you there. I definitely do.
And we've seen some wonderful things happen when you move things into the cloud. Do we agree on that?
Yes, we totally agree on that. We are definitely moving into an completely online. Maybe we'll eventually go all digital.
Yeah.
And we just want to make sure that our investments are protected. So
I do too.
Well,
yeah, so you can see that all the way back over a decade ago, Microsoft knew full well where this was going. And guess what the response from Sony was? It was the ad, like I already mentioned. But not only the ad, it was an entire showcase about the PS4, literally marketing the console. Not just off of the games, but off of the fact that it won't be constrained by a digital future. Off of the fact that you do not have to be scared about your very entertainment experience being confined to a pure digital outcome that relied on things like Wi-Fi and a cloud system that could fail at any given moment. That's why the ad was made, as a joke, as a literal laughing matter against Microsoft to say, ha ha ha, it's stupid to suggest that sharing games should be anything more than just handing someone the game physically. Yet, over 10 years down the line, Sony turns out to be the arbiter, to be the company that chooses to pioneer an all-digital future in the complete sense. Not a game key card, not, you can buy this console and buy games physically still, but we're still having Game Pass over here and the Series S is a cheaper option. No, it's when the PS6 releases, or around the time the PS6 releases in 2028, all physical games are coming to a halt, actually to a complete cease. And that's just, it's laughable. I think we're the ones laughing at them now, but really instead of laughing, I think it's just an outcry. It's just so sad. It's so sad. And yes, we have multiple factors to blame. Again, I think it all started back in 2013 and it just kind of has snowballed into the outcome we have now with not just Sony, but Nintendo and Microsoft. And Nintendo is, not to anyone's surprise, doing the best in this area because Nintendo has always been later in the game to this digital pioneering. I mean, I remember back in the 3DS days when I was shocked that the 3DS purchase system would be available in a digital way. So yeah, going off of all that, there are multiple factors, there are multiple things to blame, but Sony, instead of playing the patient game and doing what they did over a decade ago by making sure a company like Microsoft can make the mistake first, They make the dumbest decision ever by not only pioneering an all-digital future, but by doing it and announcing it years potentially before they release their next console. That's so stupid. That's like Xbox One levels of bad marketing. What have you learned from the past decade of gaming history and gaming marketing history? Have you learned from that at all? Like a blog post. And this is days after GTA 6 just got confirmed to be a code in a box. It's like they want this to be the worst outcome for them possible. It's like they want people to not purchase the PS6. Why should anyone complain if Nintendo is just going to be far above in stocks, far above in sales, the likes of Sony and Microsoft in the context of gaming? No one's going to be surprised because Nintendo is making the better decisions by a large margin than Microsoft and Sony combined in this context. You literally have the full capability of not only purchasing a game like Star Fox, but even having some third-party developers release their games, such as games like Indiana Jones and games like Oblivion coming out. These are full physical releases. And yes, games like Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, unfortunately, is like over 90 gigs worth on a game key card. That sucks, and people should complain about that. But at the very least, Nintendo is trying to just wiggle in some physical outcome in the foreseeable future and not announcing years before the next console release that physical games would die. Everything is so anti-consumer now. And not only are the consumers clearly not benefiting from the situation, but similar to the past of Microsoft's terrible marketing and terrible decision making, you as a company are going to have lower sales easily as a result of this announcement. Just go on YouTube and find anyone reacting to this right now. A lot of them are just saying at the very same time that they're not looking forward to the PS6 and they're probably not going to purchase the PS6. Also, because of the fact that exclusives for the PS5 already are very low. So there's nothing to look forward to right now. Literally the only thing to look forward to, just largely speaking, is some regards of Nintendo with the Switch 2 and maybe, just maybe some things with Microsoft. Yet that is very slim because they just announced another price hike for their consoles. It just really goes to show that there is no point to buying a video game console in the foreseeable future. The only console that seems to be of any consideration to purchase is a Switch 2 because yes, most of the games that come out on the Xbox Series and the PS5 are available on PC or will be available on PC, whereas Nintendo has a ton of exclusives and is still supporting physical games, at least in some way, shape, or form, and isn't trying to primarily market their business off of digital means, hence Xbox Game Pass, which Xbox Game Pass has had its ups and downs. It's a really, really good system for people to be able to purchase games without having to purchase an arm and a leg's worth. Sony, I can't believe you just went from any potential contender of the console wars. Well, let's be real, they weren't. But just, I don't know, just some hope all the way down to nothing just because of one announcement. And everyone has the right to be angry about this. Everyone. And you, Sony, have every right to lose sales off of this announcement. And maybe, just maybe, you can potentially go back on this, similar to how Microsoft went back on promises such as Wi-Fi only systems and family cloud gaming instead of being able to just sell or share the game that you purchase with your hard-earned money. Maybe Sony could take that energy that Microsoft learned from and borderline never recovered from. Maybe you could just look at gaming history and see that we saw this coming for a decade and you could stop this, but of course you chose not to. Please like and subscribe. I don't know. I have nothing more to say.